Welcome to the Political Ferret Show. New content will be uploaded every Wednesday and Sunday, and if you like this kind of content, consider becoming a Patreon and help with just $1 a month to make the change possible. There is a lot of talk around South Africa, most notably that the idea is that you take land from the white and give it to the black population, because the whites have a lot of land, but they are just a minority. So this sparked, of course, controversial talk, especially on the far left and the far right. Both sides, the far left and the far right, but to a certain degree all the rest, talks just about moral implications. On the left, of course, that this land was stolen and is now given back to its rightful owners, and on the right, on the other hand, who point out that this is just racism. So the interesting thing is that seemingly nobody, not even a lot of the really good political commentators, point out where the business case is in this whole situation. Because let's face it, in the end, moral does not interest anybody in the whole plane and in the whole community of nations. It's always about money and power. So let's dive deeper into that, shall we? You see, South Africa is not just some African nation that is somewhere and is completely unimportant for everybody. South Africa is, in regards to Africa, an industrial powerhouse, and they have connections all over the world. They import stuff, they export stuff. It's not that they just import all the cars and all the DVD players and so on. They give a lot of stuff back. So to understand the whole thing, if we now have two weirdly shaped nations and one nation has a lot of stuff and the other has a lot of other stuff, one has cars and the other has diamonds, well, they will interchange that. This is what we call trade. You see, to get something, you have to give something. You can do it just with money and say, oh, I just import stuff and I never export stuff. But this goes only so far as that some people say, okay, I do not believe that your money is anything worth because there is nothing on the other side. So in the end, in international trade, you have to try to balance your imports and exports. And South Africa in the past did that very well. You see, South Africa is not a nation that exports, I don't know, little carved wood things. They export motor vehicles. They import a lot of motor vehicle parts, for example, and then create automobiles out of that. They have also a petrochemical industry, they have a big weapons industry, and so on and so on. And there is a lot of money in that. It's not, as a lot of people say, oh, it's just some African nation, yeah, unimportant. South Africa used to be stronger than Spain economy-wise. It's not that strong anymore, but it used to be very strong. And it is an important factor on the world economy to this very day. So let's take a look to another nation that went down a similar path, Rhodesia. Rhodesia, now known as Zimbabwe, did a similar thing. They said, okay, we kick all the whites out and give all the land to the black population. And what changed over the time? Well, they lost 80% of their agricultural products. Let me repeat that, 80% from 2000 to 2008. Rhodesia used to export a lot of food. Now they import a lot of food. And arguably, well, the same thing might happen with South Africa. And if you try to research a little bit about exporting and so on about South Africa, you will find a shit ton of information about how you can make money with South Africa, because they are an important factor. So let's point it out as an example. For example, why Germany will never say, oh, this is a bad situation and you have to change that and you go down the wrong road. Germany buys steel from South Africa and they have to pay for that with money in the first place, but with the money means in the end that they have to give something back. And this is, for example, cars. So they move over cars and then they get some steel. And a lot of this steel will be used to create cars that they then can export to Russia and make a lot of money there. But you see, you have to give them something back that is quite valuable and that is to a degree rare, and you could get more money if you could send it to Russia, for example. So let's try to imagine what happens if South Africa has a problem with its agricultural sector. They need to import food now. This means that the Germans still get the steel, but they can pay with food that they would dump anyway. So this means that they get something that they can make a very valuable thing out of that, and give on the other hand stuff over that they use just for survival. Which means that they can produce a lot of cars that they can then sell to the Russians for a lot of good money. This, my friends, is a great business case. And it is a great business case for pretty much all the nations in the world except of South Africa. South Africa will suffer under these ideas, of course, but all other nations will make a cut here. And you see, there is nobody who really cares about the South Africans. The media will cater to the people who say, oh, this is what they got for an apartheid system, ha 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 ha. And the right will do absolutely nothing. There are some people who really think that human rights make sense. And there are some people who see that when you kill, in the end, one industrial nation by cutting off their agricultural production, because they will then have to take more resources to boost it up again, and this will then kill off parts of the industry. It will not be a good situation for the whole of humanity, but for the singular nations, like Germany for example, it is a good case. It's a business opportunity for nations like the US, for Russia, for China, for Germany, for France, for England, for everybody. And they all want to see the agricultural production of South Africa fail, because then they can get all the cool stuff, which means pretty much the steel industry, for scraps. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the real reason why nobody in the establishment cares what happens in South Africa.